There's been a growing trend in Hollywood lately, one that has a lot of comic book fans scratching their heads. Redheads are being swapped out for actors of different races. Now, I'm not here to start any arguments, but it's hard not to notice how often this is happening. I mean, it's getting to a point where every redhead in comic book adaptation is being replaced with black actors filling those roles. If it was just a few here and there, maybe I wouldn't think much of it. But this trend is becoming more widespread, and it's starting to feel like every single iconic redhead is being erased, except for Jean Grey, of course. Take Jimmy Olsen, for instance. In the DCEU, he was killed off, and in Supergirl, they decided to make him black. Then there's Wally West and Iris West from the Flash show, also reimagined as black characters, something that was actually taken from the new 52 comics. So it makes sense in that context, but it's still something to notice. And what about Starfire? She's still technically a redhead. And let's not even get started on the fact that she is an orange in the live action adaptation, which was always a fun part of her character. Don't get me started on Mary Jane in the MCU. Yeah, they're not calling her Mary Jane, but come on. We all know who MJ is supposed to be, right? Now, I'm not saying I'm against change, but it does make me wonder, why is Hollywood so eager to change all these redheads? Is it a trend? Is it a coincidence? Or something more? I'm genuinely curious about why this is happening. Let's dive into this and see if we can figure this out. There's been a troubling trend in Hollywood for years now, and it's something that has a deeper cultural, historical context that many people realize Hollywood's ongoing disregard for redheads. It's not just a matter of racial diversity or woke trends. There's a deeper issue at play here, rooted in both media industry, lazy writing, and cultural treatment of redheads, particularly in Europe in American context. First, let's talk about the industry tendencies to avoid redheads altogether. It's easy to see how Hollywood likes to rely on familiar tropes and faces to fill roles. And unfortunately, redheads have often been left out in the cold. Instead of adopting stories with redheaded characters, there seems to be a more comfortable and convenient trend of replacing them altogether, often with non-redheaded actors. Even before the current debates around diversity, this trend existed, with many famous roles going to actors who weren't true to the original characters. This isn't just about race swapping or woke culture. It's a long-standing disregard for redheads and characters in media. One reason this happens is that Hollywood, much like mainstream media in many Western countries, have never truly understood or embraced the unique place redheads hold in cultural history. In fact, redheads have often been treated as a disposable or even expendable character in both fiction and in real life. Historically, they've been looked at as a fetish, particularly in women, often being objectified based on their rare hair color, while also being subjected to harmful stereotypes. In some cases, redheads, especially women, have been portrayed as fiery, volatile, and mysterious. But these depictions often serve to limit their character depth. On the flip side, redheads have often been persecuted. In certain periods of history, redhead was associated with negative stereotypes like witchcraft, bad luck, or being unnatural. These myths were particularly pervasive in Europe and later in America, where even today some families avoid having redheads in their bloodlines for superstitious reasons. It might sound strange in the modern age, but these outdated ideas still persist in some circles, showing that this discomfort with redheads runs deep in Western society. By glossing over the importance and the distinctiveness of redheads, Hollywood continues to fail in truly exploring the diversity of the human experience. It's an easy route to take to erase these characters and replace them with more stereotypical or marketable portrayals. but it shows how the industry often chooses the path of least resistance rather than showing a commitment to inclusivity, whether it be racially or even in terms of more unrepresentative traits like hair color. Ultimately, the lack of attention to red-headed characters in Hollywood may be more than just a passing trend. It could be a reflection of a larger cultural problem. Redheads have long been put on the outside looking in, and Hollywood's treatment of them as disposable only perpetuates this ongoing disregard. It's not just a matter of who plays these roles, but of how the media represents certain identities and which groups it chooses to elevate or minimize. It's time we stop overlooking redheads and start giving them the depth, representation, and respect they deserve in the media landscape. In the ongoing conversation about diversity and representation in Hollywood, we've heard terms like blackwashing, which refers to the casting of black actors in roles originally written for white characters. But there's another term less commonly used but still relevant: redwashing. This concept refers to the practice of casting actors who don't match a character's original description, particularly in terms of defining features like the hair color. This may seem like a more niche issue, but the growing trend of diversifying character choices in Hollywood has promoted these kinds of conversations. As the industry strives to make stories more inclusive, the reinterpretation of beloved characters, sometimes altering iconic features like red hair, has become a focal point for some fans and critics alike. And while this has sparked debate, it's important to understand the motivation behind these casting decisions. It could be diversity, representation, creative adaptation, audience expectation, character depth. In Hollywood, redheads have long been a minority within a broader spectrum of white ethnics, and they've often been overlooked, dismissed, or even erased from the mainstream media. The trend of minimizing or changing their roles in favor of more socially acceptable portrayals can be seen as a part of a broader attempt to conform to what is often referred to as the SJW, social justice warrior status quo. Some argue that Hollywood's disregard for redheads stem from their status as a minority group within their white population, making them less likely to be acknowledged as a distinct and protective group. This seems plausible when you consider how their representation is often diminished or replaced in favor of more stereotypically dominant identities. This lack of self-reflection for the media shows a complete disregard for the value of redheads as a demographic. The mainstream entertainment industry has failed to recognize the subtle discrimination they face, which often results in redhead characters being pushed to the sidelines. Rather than genuinely addressing the need for more diversity by creating new, compelling characters of color, it seems more convenient for Hollywood to reskin an existing white minority character and transform them into a character of color. While this is often done in the name of inclusivity, it doesn't truly contribute to the diversity we need. Ultimately, Hollywood's treatment of redheads in media shows that rather than creating entirely new, diverse characters, the industry often resorts to repurposing already existing ones, leading to a kind of lazy diversity. This only serves to dilute the impact of meaningful representation and sidestep all real conversations about race, identity, and inclusion in a truly meaningful way.